Untap.
Welcome back to MTGYou, the Magic the Gathering podcast for you. I'm James.
What's my line again? Something or other, I don't know, rich?
Working hard for the money. I'm Blades.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. I'm Peter.
Wow, that was probably the most interesting sign-on we've ever had. Anyway, it's Thursday, the 28th of August, 2014. We're coming to you live from Studio U. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 49. And I got to go back over here as always.
Upkeep.
All right. So, unfortunately, Damon is missing tonight.
He's busy.
Let's just take a moment of silence. Okay. And but we have Rich, we have Blades, and we have a special guest today. That's Peter.
Hola.
Also known as PopCultureCube. And he's going to be joining us tonight and going through this whole all these shenanigans with us. This is fun. Welcome. We'll get a little bit more into who you are and a little bit of introductions in a little while.
Thanks. Great to be here.
It's good to have you.
And did I? Where are we? Did I?
Upkeep.
Upkeep. Okay. Did I already do the upkeep? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did, huh? All right.
Right.
I love post-production because I can take everything out that doesn't
that's
belong. Okay. So, what did we have in the news this week? Something really big changed.
Really, really big.
Yeah. Mark Rosewater spoiled an article that he named Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis.
Yes.
We are all caterpillars, and we are now cocooning.
I'm a beautiful
cocooning.
butterfly.
So, starting off with the bad news, Cons of Trokir. That normally would have a 2-year shelf life in standard. It's only going to have 60 months.
18, 16, 18?
18.
18.
Yeah.
18.
A year and a half.
Yes.
So, yeah, basically what's happening is they're going to absolve and get rid of the core sets, right?
Yes.
2016 will be the last core set that we will see in Magic for the foreseeable future. And instead of having 3-set blocks, now they're going to have blocks of 2 sets. And it's just going to be, so basically what they're doing is they're getting rid of the 3rd set that comes out that spring and core set in summer, and they're just going to make that its own block. And so basically at any given time, we're going to have at least 5 blocks in standard, and then it'll go up to 6.
No,
it's 5.
Nope.
Look
It's
at the
18
thing.
months. It's only going to to be 3 blocks of standard because
Oh,
it's every
if you're talking,
6
no,
months.
sets. Oh, yeah, no.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
talking
I
the
said
same thing.
sets. Yeah, 5
Sets.
sets. Sorry, yeah.
It goes.
Blocks.
It'll go between 5 and 6
Yeah,
sets.
5
so,
and 6 sets.
So the
At
overall
most 3 blocks.
The overall size of standard will stay the same.
Right.
Roughly the same.
Roughly the same.
Yeah.
yes.
It's not like this big, bloated block standard set that we have when the core set comes out, and then all of a sudden shrinking down to a really tiny set as soon as the new block
Right.
rotates in. It's going to just be.
So we're effectively only going to lose a set. So this is mostly going to do good things from what I can see.
You know, the thing that I've always felt, I've always felt a little strange about the core set anyway. First of all, it only had 12 months. Well, a little bit more. It was more like, what, 14,
it was an
15?
outlier for sure.
15. So it just felt sort of like out of place. Like, so where does the core set fit into all this? It just, anyway, this is just, this makes a ton of sense to me.
In Maro's article, which is at magic.wizards.com.
I'll put a link in the show notes, too.
Articles, yeah, there'll be a link. Basically, he talks about that, though. The core set was built to be, for beginners, right? But at the same time, they want to appease to the long-time player too, and so basically they were having a lot of troubles with trying to blend best of both of those worlds together, and they just realized that they really needed to just kind of be done with it and just make a new thing.
And I think they are going to make some sort of a new starter something or other. We don't know what that is. Now, the fact that they just killed
Elspeth?
No, well, they did
the,
kill
the
Elspeth.
modern.
No, they killed that other game, Kaijudo.
Oh, yeah.
Kaijudo, yeah.
I wonder if that's a coincidence. Probably is.
No.
I think it just wasn't
But-
doing
but-
so
yeah,
well.
But think about it. They
Well-
just killed Kaijudo, and now they're in need of a new something to fill this. Because they did say that. Well, he did say in his article that they were going to do something to take up this.
Well,
The-
the thing
the
is,
new
Wizards,
thing.
though,
Go ahead,
I don't
Peter.
know if it's necessarily indicative of something new. I mean, Wizards has had a history of just sort of killing off properties when that they weren't really working
Sure.
anymore. Because they had, what was it called? Dream Blade. They had Heroescape. They had the Star Wars RPG, and they all just kind of dropped them eventually. I mean, D&D and Magic are their two big things. but-
Right.
And
Anyway, it's
they've
just-
stated as D&D's not bringing in as much, and 5th
Right.
edition is going to be their last version of it, if I believe correctly.
That's been the
Maybe the-
rumor. A lot of people have been thinking that.
Okay.
I don't know if I've heard anything definitively about that, but that's been
Maybe the last try, and unless this sells really well, then maybe they'll keep going. But
right.
Right.
Because basically D&D is the lost leader. They don't make a lot of money on it, but it's just one of those things that they can use to market other stuff.
right.
So,
But
Yeah.
Going back to the Metamorphosis article, though, real quick. The cool thing is, though, those of you that like the flavor and the storyline of Magic, I mean, it's taken us how many years now? 2-3 years to be able to figure out what happened to Garuk after he got cursed, right? We finally are kind of getting some of that storyline out now here in the core set just this last summer. And it seems like now they're going to be doing 2 blocks a year. It's
Twice
actually
as
gonna make
fast.
the
Yeah.
storyline twice as fast. So now, like, you don't have to wait forever to see what happens to Elspeth because it'll be maybe a year or 2 years compared to 4 or 5 years like before. And
Well,
which
she's
is going to
dead.
be pretty cool.
So what do you mean?
And well, no, because they're going to bring her back. I mean, let's
What?
like
to see like Elspeth brought back as like a black white.
Yeah,
they already got
something around
Soren, but it's possible. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I could definitely see them bringing her back, but I don't know, or maybe making a new something. I don't know, but.
That's probably going to be further down the road, though, where she's already trapped in the underworld. Something extravagant is going to have to bring her up out of the underworld and then be able to planeswalk away. I would get the feeling about,
Sure.
at least.
Huh.
But the other thing is too, like, if everybody's kind of noticed, like the third set and the blocks kind of been really, really terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And except for like Journey Next was pretty good, but they tried to fix that and it just made Born of the Gods really terrible. So
One of the sets are horrible.
yeah,
So-
usually at least one set suffers. So now with the 2 set, they're gonna have a big and a small. That's gonna be the standard. And that
I
should
always
help.
thought though that the 3-block set sort of reflected nicely on like a 3-act play. Basically you have a beginning, middle, and end, and now they're going to have to. I don't think that is necessarily a hard and fast rule, but I liked how that was a representative of that. But I guess you can tell a story in 2 acts.
Well, it was cool. It just depended on the storyline. I think there have been a couple of blocks recently where the second or third act were just not necessary. Like I think Theros could have been summed up in 2 sets without needing one in the middle.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and certainly you could take 2. You could take 1 block and make 2 stories out of it, I suppose.
They
Oh,
can
yeah,
absolutely fit the flavor into
Yeah,
2 blocks,
it'll
and
be
they can
fine.
absolutely fit as many good cards into the 2 blocks as well. Since there's so much more dead cards in there as well that that just ends up becoming bulk rares. Like even if
Right.
you listen to our spoiler review set, how many times do you say bulk rare in those things,
least, like,
James?
80% of the time.
Yeah,
I would. I do not. I'll go through and count. I'd say maybe 50%.
which a lot of them are worthy for draft, but
Right.
Oh yeah, no. A lot of those are bombs in draft.
But even with that, that's neither here or there. You could easily sub that out for another easily bomb and draft. That's still going to be playable and constructed, modern, or whatever.
Yep.
And back to Concertar Cure is going to be the last normal cycle coming next fall. We're going to have the first of these 2 block sets, which is going to change everything. Basically, just go check out Maro's article. We'll have it in the show notes. Go check it out. There's a lot of really interesting information, and they wanted to notify us before we actually started investing in the Concertar Cure block. That way we know and understand coming into it, like how our cards are going to rotate out and stuff like that.
out.
So we're not getting screwed over later.
Yeah.
So.
And I think last week we said that Google had bought Twitch, but that was a mistake. We at least were speculating about it. We have news this week
I think
that
you said it was Amazon last week, didn't you?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't Amazon.
But Amazon
I
has
think it was
confirmed.
YouTube that we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's Google. That's what I mean. Is
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, well, there you go. That
Yeah.
shows my knowledge into the spectrum.
So indeed, Amazon did buy Twitch. So here we are. Hi, Amazon. Hey. Okay. Anyhow, you guys have anything to say about that? I mean, I just thought that was interesting. I wonder if it's going to change anything. I wonder if it's just going to still be for gaming. Justin TV is shut down. So
I don't even know what that
That's
is.
been for a while. That was
Justin-
like another Twitch variant.
no, Justin TV was the original, and then Twitch, and they were associated. Twitch is actually an offspring of Justin TV. So here we go. Google was gonna buy it last week. Amazon bought it a few days ago for 9.9 million. Yep. Thanks, Devin Denjin.
It's a lot of dough.
That actually seems low for how much
Some
potential
things,
Twitch
some
has.
things go
Well,
for
Like, I was
yeah.
expecting closer to like maybe
Well,
15.
I think they just sold the rights because the email that we got, they said they were still working there. So I think they might have just sold the rights to a bigger company, and then they're
That
still
would
going
make
to work.
sense.
Yeah.
So that would make sense too.
And then Peter, you put in the doc here, Gristlebrand drop in price. What's that about?
Yeah, so I've been trying to pick up some cards that I was really interested in, and on Star City Games, and I know I sort of like I had a Grizzlebrand a while ago, and then I sold it, and I was like, man, I want to get one back, and so I've been looking at it, and I was about to pull the trigger on it, and get it for like $20, like with medium play on it, so it was be a little dirty, and then I went to Star City Games a couple of days ago, and lo and behold, he had dropped like $10 or $20. It had originally been anywhere between like 32 to like mid 20s in terms of price, and now it's between 19 and about $15. And I guess
Right.
I asked Blades and a buddy of mine about it too, and I guess it's because he's going to be the GP promo next year.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
really?
he is the GP promo with a new artwork, which looks familiar to his older artwork, but due to the fact that it's another foil variant, that's probably going to see a lot of play in EDHs
So
and other formats as well.
I'm looking at a chart right here. It looks like he's been on the down. He's been coming down since about March. He's been going down pretty steadily.
Well, so it started going down in March because that's no longer Legacy season, and he really only sees play in Legacy.
There's a
and
Legacy season?
certain- Yeah, it's like winter time.
yeah. So
it's
I
like
mean,
it's like the hype. Like
his-
that's when
his
most of the Grand
mid-price-
Prix
I
and
was
stuff
unaware.
are around of. But yeah, so he's rotating on it because of that. And then the Grand Prix promos are going to make it a lot. But if you notice, like most of the pack foil Grizzlebrands are still going to be super pricey
Yeah, those are probably
because
still gonna be
collectors
high.
want those over the promos anyway. So,
mhm.
but it's pretty exciting stuff.
Huh. Okay. And
It was
There-
970 million, not 9.9 million.
970 million.
970, which is a
That sounds
lot
more
more.
That's a totally
That's
different
10,
number.
you know.
Wow.
What's a 900? That's 900 million here or there between
yeah,
friends.
between
Right.
friends. That's what I always say. Wow. That
You know,
is
just a couple tons of dollars.
900 million is almost a
It's 100 times.
billion dollars.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Yep, that just happened.
Wow. That just
The
happened.
Austin Powers reference that nobody could see in podcast land. There's a pinky next to James's.
I sort of said it in a way you might be able to get it.
million
And what about
dollars.
PAX? PAX has been going on. Anyone following anything with that?
PAX Prime? Is that where we're at? Well, PAX there in Seattle, whichever it's called. That's where they normally have their big Magic party where they start spoiling.
Oh yeah,
They
wait.
start off the spoiling
Spoiling
season.
season has started. Isn't-
cons.
It's starting.
It's starting. Like they've leaked a few different cards.
Mhm.
Which we'll
The
probably talk about
dragon.
soon.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, there's that one.
the
that-
dragon throne.
Yeah.
Also, it looks like the morph cost is down. Instead of being
Yeah.
3 mana to morph your guy, they're doing 2, which is amazing because you should never pay 3 mana for a 2/2. That seems too high. So they're making it actually like viable to play.
Hmm.
Like the guy, at least the guy that you showed, the morph guy, the cost was 2 mana to morph him to put him face
Right.
down rather than 3. So
I must have missed that.
Huh.
But
Really?
And you get 3 mana when you turn him face up. So
Yeah.
yeah. Which do we want to pull that guy up?
Yeah. Let me see
or-
if I can find him here. I don't know if I can find him or not, but I can try.
is it something or other shaman, something like that? It's
Let's see.
No,
been
is
all over
Lurgan
Facebook
says
and
it's
Twitter.
still 3. Oh, everybody's telling me it's still 3.
I
so
think it is
maybe
3, but it's
it
3 for a
looked
2/2
like
face
yeah,
down.
I think he's 3 to put face down and then 2 to flip up. That way you can mana ramp.
You
you
ramp
flip
from
him.
the
oh,
2
is
into
it
3.
2 mana to go up? I don't know.
Yeah, I
somebody's telling
think you
2.
swapped the 2 of those.
Unmorph is 2. Okay.
Right.
Sorry, guys. My bad.
3 mana for a T2
Yeah,
still.
I was
That's
on my way to
horrible.
class looking at the text
I mean,
message.
these say mock up, so I don't know what that means. I mean, I can see if this will even.
This will probably not be.
Let's see if I can get this on the screen at all.
So do we want to go to draw step?
Yeah.
We'll start. We don't unfortunately have a whole lot of the spoilers for
Yeah. I mean,
cons
we're gonna
up
be.
right now.
I think we're
but
gonna be into that
we're
next week.
hitting spoiler season, so it'll be rapid fire here soon in a bit. So.
Mhm. All right, so let's go on to the draw step. And at the beginning of our draw step, we always, let's see, where am I? Over here.
Draw step.
It's a Clique You, and we're actually going to highlight something that Peter subscribed to this week. You want to tell us a little bit about that, Peter?
Yeah, it's something pretty cool. It's called MTG Brew Box. It's done by it's done by a friendly local gaming store in Maryland. And what it is, there's this phenomenon going around of the subscription box, where there are certain ones, you subscribe to a box and you get it, one a month. There are different companies, like there's Loot Crate or Nerd Block, that send you kind of like geek stuff, like little toys and T-shirts. There's some that like women can subscribe to get makeup. There's some that will send you clothes, things like that. And I was looking around, I was like, there's got to be like some kind of a box, a subscription box for gamers. And lo and behold, I found one. And my buddy kind of turned me on to this. And basically what you do is, for the startup fee is $30, but they send you a box a month then for $18 a month afterwards. And everybody gets the same start out box with perfect fit sleeves, regular sleeves, 3 packs in standard, a dice bag, and I think a couple other things. And then from there on, they have a card in there, and you can sort of customize what you want. If you want play mats, if you want packs, boxes, things like that.
Sleeves.
Exactly, sleeves. All different kinds of supplies. Sort of ancillary materials, whatever. And from what I've read, people have had really good experience with. I mean, obviously, this isn't an endorsement because I've just subscribed, I haven't gotten mine yet. But it seems like something really cool. I think some folks out there may, if they've got the extra coin, may want to drop it on this. Because I mean, for instance, for me, the nearest friendly local gaming store is 40 miles away. So unless I want to buy everything online, this is kind of a cool way to get something neat in the mail, kind of a surprise every month, and it's Magic related. So, and it's easy to find. It's mtgbrewbox.com. So if you guys want to check that out. But
How much was the subscription again?
it's the startup cost, because they don't charge you shipping. The initial cost is $30, and then every month it's $18 after that.
Oh, okay.
And they also send you cool like tokens.
Right, they have
that
awesome
are from
tokens,
like
like
local
custom
artists and
tokens.
stuff like that. Yeah.
It's very cool, and I'm looking forward to. The thing I didn't mention at the top was that Peter is our on-staff columnist. Is that the right word? Anyway. And so he's going to be reviewing this once he gets his first one. He's going to be talking about it. There will be an article on the website talking about this, and we'll be able to get a little bit more in depth. So if you're anxious to try it out, go for it. If you're curious about it, hang on for a week or two or a few weeks until he gets his first one, and then you'll be able to find out how it is.
Yeah, the box, I got the email. My box shipped on Tuesday or Wednesday, so it should be coming hopefully by the weekend or early next week. So.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to that. All right, and so let's move on to our draw step.
Scuttling Doom Engine. Cost 6 colorless for a 6/6 rare artifact creature construct. Ability text: Scuttling Doom Engine can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. When Scuttling Doom Engine dies, it deals 6 damage to target opponent.
So this isn't a really good target for Angry Scissors, but it has a lot of other things going for it. I mean, you think about it. You put Angry Scissors on here and you turn a 6/6 into a 5/5.
With flying. No, I'm just kidding.
That's probably not good. Does it have flying? I don't think.
No, it
No, I was
doesn't.
going to say. But think about Okay, first of all, Tifa. We interviewed Tifa last week. She was on the show, and she mentioned this card, and they're calling this Scoot Scoot. Just saying, when we talk about this card from now on, you have to call it Scoot Scoot.
I've already started spreading it around my game store.
That is the rule. So anyway, I like this thing. First of all, it's colorless, 6/6, deals 6 damage when it dies. So people are you can't chump block it with little creatures very easily. I mean, you could chump it with a 3 power or something like that. But so then they're starting to use their higher power guys to chump block it. And
then even if they do chump or kill it, they still take 6.
They take 6. This is insane. 6/6 for 6 is it's value.
You can get him pretty out pretty fast with Chief Engineer or like the Generator Servants, which a lot of people are brewing with right now.
Yeah, there's any sort of mana ramp strategy. Since it's colorless, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to be pretty cool. Anyway, what do you guys think? You think standard, playable?
Possibly. I mean, sacking it to deal 6 damage to something seems really relevant.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit too cute to use a shrapnel blast with this guy to deal 11 damage. Highly effective and out of nowhere, but still cute.
Yeah. Seems really good.
I'd say he seemed like he'd be better in standard with people still running Wraths, but since Wizards of the Coast has come out and said they're not going to do any 4 mana costing Wraths in the next block, I mean, that kind of took the wind out of that sails.
Yeah, I was really hoping for Damnation in standard again. Like
I'm excited. Go fight win.
Like coming into this, I feel like Bug is gonna be, or is it Abzan now? Bug is looking pretty big coming into this new standard format since it had such a relevance showing in block, and it's not really losing much at all out of this Ravnica Fallout. So I'm thinking that might be my go-to come rotation. I'm hoping that Jeskai is going to be there, but that's my safe bet is going to be the Bug.
But Scoot, so cute.
Scoot, so cute.
He's so kawaii.
Kawaii, nah. All right. Next, here we go.
I wish I was more Japanese like you guys.
Living Death. Costs 3 colorless and 2 black for a rare sorcery. Ability text. Each player exiles all creature cards from his or her graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures he or she controls, then puts all cards he or she exiled this way onto the battlefield.
All right, my card this week is Living Death. It is awesome.
It is.
They got reprinted from the Vaults Annihilation, and the artwork for that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, sorry I don't have that one up there.
I'm getting one in the mail, but either way, like it's just a really awesome card. If you're playing something like a graveyard strategy, which I mean I think everybody knows by now that I love dredging, and this is perfect, right? Because everybody's like, hey, you got a board full of creatures, and mine are all my graveyards. So how about you sacrifice your team, and I'll get my team back, though,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
that is so cool.
So sweet, like, kind of the undead hordes coming back, and just the amount of broken degenerate things you can do with this, especially in EDH, is just amazing. I love it.
Yep.
So and it's one of the more complicated rulings on it, how to work it out. But basically, all you do is you just.
It took me several times to read that, by the way, because I was like,
it's kind of convoluted. Like it explains itself very well, but at the same time, it kind of gets lost in their interpretation a little bit.
And before they actually did exile, the card that's on the screen right now said set aside all cards in all graveyards. And so it has taken a major rewrite to get the ruling down. But anyway, it makes sense.
Yeah, basically just take all the guys in your graveyard, put them to the side, sacrifice all the creatures on the battlefield, and then put all the creatures everybody put in the graveyards back into play under their owner's control.
Yep.
Really, really fun. Yeah. Really, really cool card. You guys should check it out.
Do you guys have anything to say about it? Any other comments on that one?
I got no response to
I got nothing.
My guys die. You have a battlefield. Then I die.
All right. Next.
Thundermaw Hellkite. Costs 3 colorless and 2 red for a 5/5 mythic rare creature, Dragon. Ability text, Flying. Haste. When Thundermaw Hellkite enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature with flying your opponent controls. Tap those creatures.
All right, so in my Modern Geist list, I've been looking for pretty much a something different than Keranos, because I feel like Keranos, he's good against a lot of matchups, but he's not really what the matchup wants to be doing. He's a little bit more grindy and where you want to be a little bit more aggressive with the matchup. So I've been trying to Batter Skull. 2 Batter Skulls seems a little bit high. Like there are times where you end up with 2 Batter Skulls in hand and then it's sort of awkward. So I've been looking at other areas. I've been trying a Johnny like some of the older lists have. That seemed a little bit not right as a whole. He's fine, but I've just not been sold all that much. And then Larry Swayze, another guy who's he's probably the biggest advocate for Geist. He started playing a Singleton Thundermaw Hellkite in his list, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty much sold, because there are a lot of times where they just pull up all their flying blockers, and then you just play a Thundermaw Hellkite, and then you swing with this, a Restoration Angel, and then a Geist, and you get through with 12 attack in the air, hands down. That, and you can always resto Thundermaw Hellkite to give you more added value. He has haste, so it's not like you're going to hurt him. It's like extra damage coming through, and from the outside looking in, it looks like he's going to be the way to go for me.
It's kind of a lava axe that gets through the first time, right?
Yeah, he's a little bit vulnerable to Path to Exile, but where a lot of your stuff is already there with Restoration Angel and everything, you might be able to get through. So it makes me wonder if Storm Breath might be better, but I don't think so, because Storm Breath doesn't tap down your opposing creatures, as well as kill all of those Lingering Soul tokens, which is starting to become more and more relevant in the junk builds in Modern, where those are starting to see vastly more play.
Exactly.
Yeah, even like Birthing Pod lists are starting to put Lingering Souls back in their deck just to give some early game chumps and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so this guy is just going to get a little bit better here in Modern until, you know what I mean, we'll see some new cool stuff in 2-3 weeks. So,
and finally, we have Peter with his card. Here it is.
Trostani's Summoner. Costs 5 colorless, 1 green, and 1 white for a 1/1 uncommon creature, Elf Shaman. Ability text: when Trostani's Summoner enters the battlefield, put a 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigilance, a 3/3 green Centaur token, and a 4/4 green Rhino creature token with Trample onto the battlefield.
Okay, so I'm sure people are kind of wondering, like, why the heck would he choose this card? Because it's not like super awesome, but this is a card that kind of represents a lot about like how I play Magic. Because first of all, I'm a token player. Second of all, I play junk. I love junk. But yeah, right on. I brewed with this deck back when Innistrad was in Standard. So I ran a Junk Reanimator deck where I was milling to get Unburial Rites in this in the graveyard. Then I was flashing back Unburial Rites, getting her out, and then just cloud shifting her. And so you'd end up with scads of tokens, and your opponent, if it worked, your opponent was just like, what? So it's just a fun card. I mean, obviously, it's one of those where you're like 7
Conjurer's Closet.
Yeah. The design of it is amazing. I mean, 10 power and toughness for 7.
Yeah.
The value's there. Plus, you got Trample. You have Vigilance with one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a matter of making you don't want to hard cast the thing. You have to cheat it out somehow. So that's the main way. So, and this was like a big deal for me when I built that deck, because it was a time when I was like, wait a minute. Like, Magic sort of made sense. I was like, wait a minute. I'm thinking around corners to make this deck work. So,
like the stars align, you're like, I know what to do now.
Exactly.
Do this. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It seems so bad paying 7 mana for a 1/1 though.
I know it.
I know. On its face, you're like, why the heck would you play this?
Vanilla test is terrible on this one.
Dude, you can play as your PDH commander.
Oh, you
Just
can.
saying.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
that's not a bad idea.
Just saying.
So you can use in PDH. We'll get into that, but you
We'll
can
get
use
into
an uncommon.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
All right,
get into
we'll
it in a
talk
second,
about
but
that. All right. Anything else then in our draw step, guys?
It's really good to bring back with the Revel Arc too. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Let me go here. Oh, that disappeared there. I got to go back there. I should just shut that down because that's always getting in my way. All right, here we go.
Main phase.
And we're in the main phase. Today we're going to be talking about EDH. In fact, the name of the episode is 5-Color EDH Splashing Peter. And so Peter is, first we're going to talk a little bit we just want to get to know you a little bit better as our resident columnist. And how did you get started in Magic?
Thereby hangs a tale. Basically, I started Magic like 20 years ago, sort of. It was basically like this, probably the year it came out or the year after it came out. And I knew kids in junior high who were playing it. And so I went out and they had like this like starter box. It looked like a giant Magic card. Mm-hmm. And this was in the day when they had like 60 card Magic decks that didn't necessarily have, they weren't necessarily playable, but they had decks. And then the box also had like a stapled rule book and a little embroidered bag with glass markers in it. And I remember reading the rule book and I didn't understand. I couldn't make heads or tails. I was like, what the heck is tapping me? And I have no idea.
It's like
exactly. I don't know what this means. But then my folks got a hold of it and they saw, as soon as they saw Demonic Tutor, they're like, no,
The infamous Demonic Tutor.
So away went my cards. I think I still have a Hypnotic Spectre and a Dark Ritual left over from that original box. So that was like my first experience with Magic. But all along then I was playing like different CCGs and things. I was playing the Star Trek CCG. And then eventually, what was it? I think it was Christmas 2009. And I thought to myself, hey, I wonder if Magic's still around. And I went on a whim. I just checked out Amazon, and lo and behold, they had the dual deck. It was Phyrexia versus the Coalition. I was like, all right, I'll buy this, and that just kind of started it off. I was like, Magic, awesome, and that's kind of the rest is history. I started playing with finding other guys in the area who played, and just kept it going. So,
Not bad.
Yeah.
And so you picked it up again in what 2000?
Yeah, I've been playing 2009. I've been playing for about 5 years.
Yeah, so you have a pretty good track record. What's your favorite format then?
Oh gosh, see, I used to love Standard, but with the current meta, it just became like too bashy. So I've really and a lot of the other guys I play with have sort of gone this way too. I've really started picking up EDH. I love EDH. It's just, I feel like you can be a lot more artistic with the decks. I mean, so many of the guys that I find who are really good at Magic are somewhere in the sciences. Like I tend to play against like engineers, guys who are in finance, actuaries, stuff like that. And they have this very methodical, very machine-like way of putting a deck together, which is great, and it works for them in Standard. And I just don't think that way. But if I'm putting together a deck in EDH, it's like I can come up with a commander, I can come up with a theme, and then it's for me, it's almost like you're kind of playing and like painting this deck. And so I find EDH to be a lot more fun that way. Mm-hmm.
So then what if your background isn't scientific, what is your background?
I got my bachelor's and my master's degree in history, ancient history. I specialized in ancient religion, actually, and mythology. My thesis was comparing mythology in the Peloponnesian era in ancient Greece to comic books in Cold War, the U.S.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun. If you ever want to find something to put you to sleep, just download my thesis from.
It doesn't sound like a boring thesis. I mean, it has comic books in it.
I made it boring. But then I also, in my day job, I work as a reporter. I've been doing that basically since I was 16. And I work as the city editor and also the crime and courts editor or crime and courts reporter for a newspaper in Northwest Ohio. So.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit last night. It sounds like you kind of see yourself as more right-brained.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, without a doubt.
So, what part of what are you drawn to most about Magic? What drew you in the first place? Was it the gameplay? Was it the artwork? Was it collecting? Was there anything in particular, and what has kept you with Magic lately?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think it's a bunch of things together, but offhand, it's got to be the aesthetics. Like the thing that really attracted me when I first started playing was I thought the Phyrexians were cool, and I could sort of see them. I was like, oh, they're sort of like the Borg, but in Magic, and
they're so much better than the Borg, though.
well, absolutely, but I think the artwork, the aesthetics, and then how everything kind of ties together in Magic. Like the gameplay makes sense in a storytelling way. I think also the other thing is I love playing games. I mean, I paint minis. I run 2 D&D campaigns. I play a lot of board games and card games and stuff like that. And that's something that I've been doing ever since I was a kid. So I like the idea that there's a community of Magic players, and I like the idea that there's so many of them around. I mean, when I first started playing again 5 years ago, I didn't really know how to find folks to play with. I taught my brothers how to do it, but they weren't really into it. And so I found out that there was this Planeswalker group on Facebook for my area, and I started finding people to play with that way. And it's kind of funny, people that I play with now on a regular basis are guys that I had known like in high school, but we never really had a whole lot in common, and then we just reconnected over Magic. And so like these are guys that I really hadn't talked to much in 10 or 12 years, and now we get together, if not monthly, on a weekly basis, and we play Magic. And so that's been really good for me, is having that social connection through Magic too. And I love that. I mean, we can email, we can tweet, we can text, etc. And we can talk about Magic, and it's fun.
So you were saying that your closest game store is like
40 miles away.
40 miles away. So you probably don't play a lot of F&M.
I've played I think 2 F&Ms my whole life.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And probably, do you play much competitive Magic, or where do you see yourself fitting in that way? I
am the world's worst limited player. I have 0 card sense when I have like a time limit to put a deck together. I'll play pre-releases and stuff like that. I bring decks to game days. For instance, I piloted a white-red deck he put up a while back, and had some decent success with it. I was pretty happy with it.
Oh, not bad.
But I'm definitely more of a casual Magic player. I like playing Magic, competitively when I can. But I do like that, going to a coffee shop, sitting with a cup of coffee, talking with your friend, hashing over the week, and then, and playing. So, I consider myself a solid kitchen table Magic player. I'm, by no means, gonna be raising hell at a GP. So
40 miles to the nearest LGS. We have 36 shops within 40 miles here in Utah.
Be with you, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole.
Do you think you
different thing.
Play more competitive if you were closer to or do you think you would be the same type of a player?
I think I'd be the same type of player. I had some experiences just early on in Magic, and then and even as you go forward in Magic, you run into personalities sometimes playing competitive Magic you would just rather not run into.
Absolutely.
And so I kind of like
Rich
playing
is
with
one
my
of those
group
guys.
and folks that I know. And plus I don't like having to keep up with a meta. I kind of like the cards that I've got. I'll buy. If a set comes out, I'll get a box or a fat pack. That kind of thing. But I tend to like to buy older cards to help with EDH. I mean, when I'm buying cards now, or I'm looking at cards, I look at how good they're going to be in EDH. I'm not really looking at them for standard or modern or anything else. So
it seems like EDH is sort of custom tailored for you, for your type of play, for what you enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah. Which brings us to our topic today, which is EDH. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we move on? I told you that I would kind of run it, but I don't know if there's anything that we talked about last night that would be extremely useful for our listeners to know about you.
I don't think so, except for that I'm an awesome guy.
Yeah, you are.
Yet to be determined.
He's a Jobin like the rest of us.
You got a article base on our website now as well.
Yeah. So his name, so it's PopCultureCube. We thought that was kind of clever because you do have another website that's called Super PopCultureCube, which
Yeah, that's my
.blogspot
blog.
and we'll put a link in the show notes. And so that's how we've gotten to know you, is through pop culture, and I guess there's also another moniker you go by on Twitter.
Yeah, my Twitter is @PopCultureCube, and then I'm also on Instagram at @PopCulture_Cube.
Right.
So yeah.
So anyway, so when we asked you to write for us, when we were thinking about a name, who was it, Rich? You came up with PopCultureCube because it's kind of like you're a box. It's like, hey, you bring your stuff to the game, and this is what I'm talking about today, guys. So
And today's cube.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And I want to build Cube too now. So
Yeah, it's super fun. And you should build a battle box because it's awesome.
that really was intriguing. When I listened to that show, I was like, man, that sounds
Definitely
pretty cool.
need to do that.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way sweet. I suggest it to everybody.
And if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to the episode on Battle Box. It's very informative, very cool stuff. Get some sleeves from the what's that company? What's the box company that you're
MTG Brew Box.
MTG Brew Box, and start building a battle box. Anyway. All right, so let's move into the meat and potatoes of this section. Rich, do you want to just start heading up this part?
Sure. So today we're going to be talking about EDH. We've had a few people comment and ask us, and I know Bruce was one of them. Definitely was interested in hearing about EDH and stuff like that. And we thought, this is probably like going to be the best time before the new EDH decks come out in fall,
Right.
because we'll probably get a recap on
We'll
those
talk
again,
about them
so-
specifically.
Right, and we had touched on EDH in a previous episode as well, but we wanted to delve a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So if you've already heard this, just fast forward or something. I don't know. Let's see. So the quick
Don't fast forward. Listen to it because you're going to hear something very informative from Rich right now.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. Something informative.
No, just keep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So a quick summation of the rules, basically, though. How it works is regular Magic, your life total starts at 20, but in EDH or Commander, it's actually 40 life. Commander damage: if a general does 21 points of combat damage to an opponent during any point in the game, that player dies. So if my creature did 10 points of damage to you last turn and it does 9 this turn and 2 next turn, you know what I mean? Then you're dead. Doesn't matter as long as it's cumulative throughout the game.
Oh, it's cumulative. I didn't know that. So you got to
one specific general.
You actually need to keep a separate life total based on how much commander damage
and
is
it
being
does
happened.
subtract from your regular life total as well. So just keep that in mind. Commanders must also only be legendary creatures. You can only have spells in the deck that are actually the color of your commander. This is also known as a color identity. What this means is, like, if I'm playing, for instance, like Lazalv, Dimir, the Dimir guild leader, he's 2 black and 2 blue. I can only have stuff in the deck that.
How do you spell his name? What's that?
I don't. It's like Lahzaf or V.
I don't think there's an H in there.
I don't think there's an H. I don't
We
know.
won't worry about it.
Orzhov. No, I'm thinking of Orzhov then. Anyway, not the point. So bring up Carador. Carador Ghost Chieftain. That's my general.
What is it?
Carador. Karador.
Here he is.
And Peter's showing him right there on the oversized card.
Not that you can see him through all that shine.
Carador basically costs 5 colorless mana and a green, a black, and a white. So I can only have spells and abilities in that deck that cast or cost in their cost is green, black, or white. I can only have things that produce mana of those specific colors. Now I can play Command Tower because it does not specifically state blue or red or whatever. It's just any color, so I can play that. So I wouldn't be able to play something like Boros Signet in the deck because it taps for a red, right? And that's part of what's known as the color identity of the general, and that's also affected by the activated abilities of that general as well. So if you're playing like Thelen, the Thelen Havenwood guy that does fungus counters, like you could play a green and a black EDH deck.
Thelen, Guardian of Havenwood.
Yep, that one. So the cool thing is like commanders start in your command zone. What the command zone is basically it's a different own zone. I mean, you have the battlefield, which is its own zone, your graveyard, which is its own zone, your deck and your hand, which are all different zones. There's another zone known as the command zone, and that's where your commander starts. You may cast it anytime you could cast any other creature spell, and anytime that they die or become exiled, they just go back to that command zone. I mean, you can put them in the graveyard if you'd like. If they die, maybe you have a reanimate spell or something like that. But typically, they'll just go back to the command zone. And an easy way of keeping track of it is people will put known as death counters on it. They basically cost 2 additional colorless mana for each time that they died. Every time they go back to the command zone.
Which that could be a drawback, but there are cards that actually that turns out to be a benefit.
Right, like the new, like last fall we had the new command decks like Mareth and stuff like that came out. Yeah, and they have
Tip that one forward a little bit there, Peter, so I can see it.
So you can get it.
Mareth.
These guys basically get bigger or make
anything.
more tokens or more stuff for the amount of mana you pay when you cast them. So when they die, you're actually getting still better value out of them than, say, if it was just a 5/5 for 4 or whatever, right? And now if your commander ever gets tucked or basically put into your deck or put on the bottom of your library, they go there. They do not get put in your command zone unless you're playing French rules, which we're not even going to get into because it's a whole different ballgame. And so basically like things like Terminus or Hallowed Unburial or whatever that put them on the bottom of your library, like that kind of sucks because now your commander's in the middle of your deck, So the difference is usually in competitive play, you play with the 60-card minimum and you could play, 4 ofs, like play sets of things except for basics. In EDH, it's actually 100 cards, 99 in the deck, and the 100th card being your commander. And the only rule is that each card must be unique, meaning there cannot be any copies of that card.
It's called a singleton format.
Singleton format, yeah.
That's where the Highlander comes in.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
There
There
can only be one.
And there's only one commander, and there's lots of ones in it.
Right. Except for, obviously, basic land. You can have 20 forests or 30 islands or whatever, but only if it's other than basics, it's only a one of, which makes this format really, really interesting because the statistics are just crazy off, and it makes every game kind of new and interesting, and it's a lot of fun.
Pretty much the ultimate in casual gaming, because somebody sent us a message. I think it might have been Bruce. He said no, it was somebody else. Was it Tim? Said. Took me 3 hours to play a game of EDH. Is that normal?
That's pretty normal.
Normal.
There's a reason why I play infinite combos because I like stop buttons.
And there's a reason why some of us don't play infinite combos.
Right, because they want the game to go. I mean, that's fun though. Like I remember playing like 5-hour-long games and it was a lot of fun. But
yeah.
Now
well, you
I
can
just don't
choose.
have the
In other
time
words,
for it,
you can
so-
choose whether or not you go to that. You're calling it a stop button because you can choose. You may have it, but you're just like, I'm
Let's
not
keep
going to use
playing.
it
Like,
yet.
let's have fun.
Yeah, going into it, you definitely get to decide what kind of game you and your play group want.
Yeah. If you want to destroy all of the lands every turn, you can do that.
You are a terrible, horrible person.
Everybody's
and nobody
never
wants
going
to
to play with you ever again. But I mean, you can do it. There's cards that enable you to do it.
Yep.
So another format that I just recently started playing, which I think is awesome. And if you're looking into EDH, but you're wondering, is $30 worth buying the intro deck, or maybe is buying these cards to build an EDH deck worth it, and you're still kind of thinking about it. One of the cool things is there's a format called PDH, or Pauper Dragon Highlander. Basically what it is you pick any uncommon creature you want, and that's your commander, and then the rest of the deck is commons. And it follows the exact same rules as regular like EDH. It's just you have any random, doesn't matter like what uncommon creature, doesn't have to be legendary as your general, and the rest is just commons. And so it's kind of a cheaper, fun way of getting into EDH.
And you've been playing this more lately.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun because it's really cool because the power level is so much more like on
Balanced.
the same level, and it's more balanced. Whereas like I've gotten to the point now where when I play EDH, it's really polarized.
Right.
I mean, you get those guys that obviously put tons of time and effort in their deck, and they can go combo off by turn 5 or turn 6, and then you get those guys who just had the intro deck and maybe a few other cards, and they're like kind of like, what's going on, Whereas like PDH, everybody's playing commons, so it's really
Commons are generally
it's
balanced.
kind of like the battle box where it really rewards you for just playing the right spell at the right time and playing just efficient
It's
cards.
a lot of more fair magic.
It's a lot
yes.
more fair, and it's a lot of fun. So, and it's also cheaper, way cheaper. I mean, you
Way
can build a deck
cheaper.
for $10. So,
Mint in the chat room says the guild mages are really good for PDH.
yeah,
I
I played
agree.
Kuroz the Guild Mage, and he's a boss because
Yeah.
my guys intimidate, and I can make tokens.
You know,
so,
I actually built this, and I use a Celestia Guild Mage, just white, green tokens.
Oh, is it the you pay 4 make it 1/1 or
Yep.
4 get a +1 counter?
Huh.
Yeah.
+1/+1 to all your
I've-
guys, not counter.
Now
Oh yes, all your guys. I
better.
heard that's really good too.
now there's something called French Commander,
Yeah.
and technically, Peter, that's what you play a lot of.
Technically, but the thing is, the only difference we have when we play French, I don't know if there's any other rules, is just that we change the life total from 40 to 30. I don't know if there's any
Right.
other changes. That's just the way we
well,
play.
outside of whenever you play French, everybody loses.
Oh.
Yes.
I wonder if
sir.
I have any listeners in France. Well, we don't
I don't
anymore.
think we do. Me and Blades just keep scaring them off.
No,
Also,
but basically, just basically French.
there's a different.
EDH means there might be a couple little variances, but basically it's basically one-on-one.
Yeah, and
Whereas
there's a
EDH
different
is
ban
meant-
list.
Right.
There's certain other cards that can be used as generals that normally can't be used as generals. Like you could play Grizzlebrand in French rules, whereas in normal EDH you can't.
Oh, okay.
And typically French rules EDH is way more competitive. Like there's actually competitions and stuff like that you can go.
I see.
I mean, it's more of a European thing, obviously, but it's starting to see more play in the U.S. So,
so,
but you play French rules. Who do you play as your commander? Peter?
well, he plays more one-on-one.
Oh,
Is
so you
that-
play
really,
French
it's
rules.
really just
you play
one-on-one
one-on-one.
magic, and we just call it French. We just change the life total down to 30. Right now, I'm running Vishkal.
Oh, okay. Which calls
Which is pretty awesome. I call my deck Death and Taxes because it's all sacking creatures or extort effects or bringing guys back.
attrition
that kind of thing. Running stuff like polluted bonds and things like that are a lot of fun. So
No. And Dillbone34 asks, so do you play any other uncommons? In PDH, you just play...
It's all commons
all
in,
commons.
the,
Commons
in the
now.
99.
There is a ruling though, like so. For instance, like Rancor used to be a common in,
Right.
in Legacy,
Oh.
and it was
If
an
it wa-
uncommon in
if it
13.
ever
so you can
was-
still play it
If
if
it was
it's a
ever
common.
printed as
was-
a common.
Right.
Yep.
And the thing is about one of the big things about EDH and PDH is that really, you know what? As long as you guys agree on the rules, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you want a ban list, if there's something on a ban list, if everyone agrees that that's okay to play,
Nobody lets me have my Primeval Titan.
well, it's again agree. that's the key.
That
word.
has been a question I've had though. Is if EDH is technically a casual format, then isn't the idea of a banned list in EDH absurd?
It's a suggested
So-
ban list.
I agree with the ban list to an extent, and I disagree with it to an extent. I mean, it also kind of depends on who you play with. I think that the ban list is there for a good reason, because you can go to like GPs and they do have commander tournaments, and so they need to have some sort of standardized, way of playing. But at the same time, like at home, let's say you can have a kitchen rule, like nobody can play, Terminus, which we have currently on the screen. No tuck effects, so that's out. Or you can say, I want to play this guy's my general, and as long as everybody's okay with it, cool, that's awesome. As long as your play group's okay with it, do what you want. But I think that the ban list, like for instance, like Channel, you could pay 2 green, and then basically you get to pay any amount of life after that, and add 1 colorless mana for each life you paid that way. I mean, basically going turn 2, 2 green, Channel for 39, and then Genesis waving or something. I mean, granted you don't have
Seems
the green
pretty
mana,
relevant.
but I mean that's kind of busted, right? That seems too overly top.
Yeah, so if you have a
broken,
one
so-
player who's just keep going off turn 2 with something extravagant, you can always break that open. I remember Kevin, a guy we used to play with, he used to consistently do like a turn 2 Blightsteel Colossus.
Yep.
And that was pretty broken. Well, he wasn't using it in a broken way. He would put that into play, and there'd just be like, nobody attacks.
Yeah, just kind
Go.
of wait. Because he would just tinker, right? Like, he'd be like,
he
turn
would
1,
play
Soul
police.
Ring or whatever, and then he's like, tinker the Soul Ring
was
and go
the-
grab it.
It was the police,
Yep.
not the fun police, but just the police.
Yep. No SOS from that guy.
But let's actually, you want to talk about the ban list? Because this is something I know a lot of people probably don't check on a regular basis.
No, actually, and this is something that, or people know that it's updated at every time that at Wizards updates their ban list.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
I'm gonna post there. I'm gonna post it in the. Hold on, real quick. Sorry.
The
Is
ban
Douglas
list.
doing this
Bargain still on
as
the ban list?
is.
Because man, I want to play that. And it's
Which one?
That's how I check.
They're okay right underneath Peter's thing, I put the link, and I'm going to put it in Twitch real quick. So, so for instance, like
what card did you mention, Peter?
Yawgmoth's Bargain.
yeah, that is a
Still
card.
because man, I love that card.
You shouldn't play that EDH. That's too good. Necropotence is at least got like, you know what I mean, some sort of fix to it, right? Whereas paying 1 life and drawing a card anytime you want for an enchantment that's 6 mana is just busted.
Yeah.
But quickly through like the flying cards are legal for use in decks but can't be used as commanders. Braid's Cabal minions basically makes everybody sacrifice or discard a card at the beginning of their upkeep. Araya Sorotami Ascendant, it's the guy that flips and then counters the first spell cast per turn. Kakusho, the Evening Star, because he's 6 mana for a 5/5 flyer guy that whenever he dies, each opponent loses 5 life and you gain the amount of life.
So that's kind of broken.
Yeah, so you just like play him, sacrifice him, play him, sacrifice him. Raphaelos Llanowar Emissary, because he's 2 green and taps and adds green mana to your mana pool equal to the amount of force you control. So he's just too good in a mono green deck. And then these cards are just banned in the deck in general.
Man, can we ban Island?
Whoa.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's
at least
funny.
make them. You can play Choke in EDH. Just saying.
That's true.
Or Modern, I hear is quite good.
Yeah. So other cards are banned though. Real quick, there's a list of looks like maybe like 20 cards, 20, 30 cards. Ancestral Recall, Balance, Biorhythm, Black Lotus, Channel, Coalition Victory. Do I want to name off what they do at all, real quick?
No, just
No,
name
but
'em.
we'll have I'll go ahead and have a list in the show notes so that
Okay.
you can check it out.
But
Yeah, I mean it's a short list.
yeah, it's pretty short. And I just posted the link to the Wizard website.
Mhm.
So, Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, Fast Bond, Gifts Ungiven, Grizzlebrand, Caracas, Library of Alexandria, Limited Resources, Metalworker, Mox Emerald, Mox Jet, Mox Pearl, Mox Ruby, Mox Sapphire, Painter's Servant, Panoptic Mirror, Primeval Titan, which I'm still mad about, Protean Hulk.
I love Primeval Titan.
Yeah, but it kind of turned into like everybody just cloning the Primeval Titan as many times as they could, or flickering it as many times as they could, or getting out as fast as they could, and it kind of just made the game like a Primeval Titan race. But anyway, Protean Hulk, Recurring Nightmare, Sundering Titan, which seems fair, Sway of the Stars, Sylvan Primordial, Time Vault, Time Walk, Tinker, Tolarian Academy, Trade Secrets, Upheaval, Worldfire, and Yawgmoth's Bargain. These are all cards that are banned inside the deck in EDH.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure glad they banned that limited resources. That Marshall guy was getting on my nerves.
Just kidding, Marshall. Just kidding.
We love you.
Yeah.
Now, can you guys enlighten me as to why Sylvan Primordial is banned? Because
Have you ever played it with?
I look at that card and I'm like, it really doesn't seem that harmful.
I agreed with you, like, at first, and then it got to the point, like, in my draw deck, I would entomb it, go entomb, go grab him, put him in my graveyard. Turn 2, reanimate him. Turn 3, now that I have, 6 mana or whatever, turn 3, or 7 mana, turn 3, sacrifice him, reanimate him again. You guys have 1 land, and I have all of my land in my deck.
Yeah, he's really good at the mana ramp.
Also, things like with Deadeye Navigator, hooking him
broken.
up and flickering
He is
him and just
broken.
blowing up everybody's lands, and then you get a mana ramp for it. He was kind of the fix to Primeval Titan, but they ended up kind of making him too good. The fact that he deals with any non-creatures, I mean, blows up lands, planeswalkers, enchantments, he's just too overly powerful
Right.
with flickering effects.
Right, and then the next best thing next to him is Terrastodon, where Terrastodon is 9 mana, or is he 8 mana?
He's 9. I think he's 7 and 2 green.
I think that's accurate, but he actually leaves your
8.
opponents with like
He's
33 beasts at least, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, he blows things up, and he can't hit creatures, but he blows things up and you get creatures out of the deal. So it's more fair because, I mean, like, if they blow up all your lands, you're like, cool, now I'm just going to kill you with my Elephant Horde.
Yep.
So.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's the ban list for EDH. Do we want to go over the staples at all? There's
Yeah.
kind of like some pretty awesome, cool cards that
Yeah,
should
so
see
so that's kind of what we want to hit from the name of the episode is 5-color EDH splashing Peter. So we've already splashed Peter, and now we're
Normally we don't start with the splash. That's really odd.
right. Anyway, so now we're going to talk about the 5 colors. So what we want to do is just try to. You're really giving me this blank look. Like,
Oh, I'm good.
is that?
Proceed.
Am I going in the right direction here?
I was reading Twitch.
Oh.
I was reading. Somebody was talking about resetting game and stuff. So
Okay. Yeah, it was the blank look you were giving me that was really funny. It was like, where are you going with this, James? And I thought it was on target. So, okay, so yeah, let's.